So, we've actually been talking about this for a while now, and we note that there are a lot of videos and a lot of channels dedicated to atheism and religion.
Respectively.
Yes, and that's fine. If that's your thing, if that's what you're into, if that's what you believe, you're more than welcome to. But something we've noticed is that not many people discuss about the things that we should agree on.
And it's not necessarily even just should, that I think it's can be said that this is true for both sides, I think.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that we necessarily should agree on it. It's like, how can you not agree on these things?
Exactly. So, we're going to, as a Christian and
An atheist.
talk about 10 things that we feel should be and can be agreed on.
That we do agree on.
Yes. And before we do go forth, I just want to give a slight acknowledgement that Crack.com did a list similar to this. We both saw it, and we do share some of the points, but we do have our own takes on them and our own points, obviously. So without further ado, let's get right to it.
10. Both sides have had good and bad people.
So everybody on the whole issue seems to focus on the negative. A lot of people will be very quick to point out that Hitler was a Christian.
Oh yes, that nasty Hitler, he was a Christian and he killed the Jews.
Well, let's not forget Stalin was an atheist and he killed all those people in the gulags.
Both are fair points.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that all Christians and atheists are bad. We always seem to focus on negative, and we don't seem to dwell on those who are good. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, they've made a lot of contributions to the science community and helped develop so much, and they're atheists.
And there are people like Mother Teresa out there in the world who dedicated their entire life to helping people that they felt were less fortunate and less advantaged from them, all in the name of God.
And it's something that a lot of people don't seem to... We always seem to only focus on one side of it. That they're all nothing but bad people, or, oh, they're all nothing but good people. The reality is, both sides have done wonderful things, and both sides have done horrible things. It is what it is. But one person or just a select group of people doesn't define a religion or lack thereof.
Right, that I have known Christians whom I respect greatly, and I've known Christians who wanted to literally, as soon as they found out that I was an unbeliever, wanted to do nothing but 24/7, anytime they were in my presence, tell me things that I really was just telling them, look, I respect your opinion, I respect your views, but stop. And that would be one of the bad ones that you know what I mean? And you can't judge someone basically like, oh, you're an atheist, you must be an evil person because so-and-so was an atheist and he was evil. Or, you're a Christian and so you must be just like so-and-so who is a Christian who was a bad person. No, you cannot make that judgment. Just as you can't make that judgment in any place in life in general.
Exactly. And it's something that a lot of people just dwell on those isolated people and really don't look at the general spectrum that most people who are Christian or atheists are just people like you and me. Just
normal or abnormal people. And
very normal.
Abby normal. But no, so yeah, that's pretty much, I think we've fleshed that out pretty well.
Yeah, there's really not much to say. It's pretty common sense. Pretty much common sense, really.
Which can bring us on to our next point.
9. Both sides are guilty of exaggerating themselves and the opposition. So, there are a lot of people who will, on the atheist spectrum, go on saying that the world would be a better place without religion, that religion has to go, it has to stop, we need to get rid of it. If there was no religion at all, there would be no war, no conflict. There are people who genuinely believe in this stuff.
When I was in a very rageful state early in my atheism, I had kind of preached that, so to speak. So I can understand that there would be people out there. I have since learned, obviously, that is not a solution.
Yeah, and on the flip side, you also have Christians who go, oh, you can't have morals without God. You need God in your life if you want to be a good person. And you either exaggerate yourself or you exaggerate the other side so much. But more often than not, you're so we see these people are so venomous towards the opposition when, again, like we said earlier, it's just people like you and me.
Exactly. That's why there's really not a whole lot much more that we can, or at least I can expound on this, is that you're going to have those people that just will demonize the other's viewpoint to the point where it's like there's no even attempt to have a logical dialogue, to even just a free exchange of ideas, because they're so busy closing their mind and like every person is like the worst one of these I've ever seen kind of a thing. And you can apply that to anything. Yeah. But specifically in this, it seems common sense that you kind of need to acknowledge that both sides are guilty of, at times, exaggerating themselves, like thinking, I'm so super right, how could you possibly believe what you believe because I have this on my side, and both sides feel the exact same way about their information.
When in reality, most interactions between these people who have different beliefs are a lot like this. Hey, when we're done making this video, do you want to catch a movie or something?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think there's something good at the theater. I know a pretty good pizza joint down the street too. We can get some dinner and catch that movie then. That'd be cool.
Alright, sounds good. Yeah, really nothing exciting or special because most people are just, I would say like 95% of these people are just normal human beings like you and me. There's no need to exaggerate the opposition. There's no need to go on the extreme.
Right, because, I mean, one thing, this is kind of a point I'll probably touch back on through some of these other points, I'll make it very quick, is that if what you believe makes you a better person, whether it's to believe or disbelieve, and if it makes you a better person in the long run, then what's the friggin' problem?
Exactly. And that's a good point too, is that why should people complain if their belief or lack thereof is what makes them a good person? And you don't need to have religion to be a good person. I mean, I find the whole thing with I hate the stance that you need to have God in order to have morals, and I find that's a load of crap.
I appreciate that because, I mean, I was raised in a Christian family. I did get sent to church, so to speak, until I was about 14 and whatnot. So I guess you can say that my moral fiber stems from Christian religion. That argument could be made. But I feel that for me, it's gone into also, it's like, well, I believe morals come from empathy.
Yeah.
Would I like it if somebody did that to me? No, that would effing suck. So I will not do that to someone else.
Golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated.
And then that's where the people can come into arguments, well, you learned that from Christianity. I was like, no, I may have been taught that as a young Christian. But then once I broke away, or made my decision, whatever you want to call it, I still feel that when I play a video game through, and I have a choice to be good or evil, I am always good on the first playthrough, because I put myself in their position. I know it's a silly example, but
it works.
And it's like, no, I will always give whatever. But you get the point that I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're getting a little off topic here.
Yeah, but yeah, just don't exaggerate the other sides. Not much more to say.
8. You cannot force the debate. So, I've been thinking, man, how do you, as a Christian, how do you explain the whole Adam and Eve begot the entirety of human civilization?
Well, they gave birth to Cain and Abel. I mean, they were able to reproduce.
Well, okay, so who did Cain and Abel have sex with to reproduce?
I don't know. Maybe they got more women or something.
Well, I figured that would be pretty significant, that they would write that part down.
Well, maybe Adam and Eve had more I don't know. Can I just play my pinball game? So, I want to start off with something that I'm sure a lot of you don't know, and I'm not sure if you knew this either, but I was not always a Christian.
Are you saying that we walked, like, literally opposite paths that did the whole crisscross right in the middle thing, kind of, so to speak?
Sort of.
Okay.
I identify as a non-denominational Christian. I was raised Catholic for 16 years before I converted away, and that went over, well, great, considering I was a 9th generation Catholic. The roots of Catholicism dated all the way back to the 1700s in my family.
Wow, my family was still in Scotland and Ireland when that was going on.
Yep, that was with my relatives too. Anyway, the point being, I converted to deism, and the Cliff Note version with deism is that I believe there was a God, but there was no divine intervention whatsoever. I believe he created the world and said, okay, guys are on your own. I'm going to go do something else. That's essentially what I believed in. And during this time, people constantly, be it my family or my friends, were trying to get me to convert back to Christianity. And that did not help the cause at all. This did nothing more than push me away from the subject even further.
And I can kind of understand that because, I mean, as I mentioned in the last point, you know, it was around the age of 14 where I just honestly refused to go to church because I was kind of with me it was I was an accelerated student. They put me in like biology classes and algebra classes and stuff like 2 and 3 years ahead of time because I had potential. I squandered it. And so I was learning more and more about science and biology and the things that I cling to as an origin of life. Which, I mean, because let's get down to something we haven't mentioned yet. Religion and science are basically two ways of explaining the origin of life.
Yeah.
And so, to me, like that origin of life made more sense.
And that's fair enough. And like we were kind of showing in the beginning with that little precursor, not all debates are like that. That's not every situation.
Yeah, I was acting the total prick.
Yeah. But it does happen, and it will push people away, and it really only hurts your cause, be it if you're trying to prove atheism or if you're trying to prove Christianity, that if you're going to push the debate, if you're going to force them, if you're going to twist it. If I go up to him and I'm like, no, you're wrong, we're going to discuss this, he's not going to, he's probably going to be thinking more, I'm going to break your fucking arm if you don't get off me.
It was like, you got to remember, I'm left-handed. You got a left hook coming your way any second now.
But from personal experience, and I'm sure you've had this too, when you force the discussion, it only hurts your cause.
Not only that, but I think it engenders, feelings of resentment.
Yeah.
I think it has very much potential because the person being badgered will feel like, well, you're just trying to get me, like, here's what I've actually experienced, because I was that asshole a few different times in my life, which is why it was so easy for me to portray. But there were times where the person that basically reacted to me was like, you are asking me to admit, you're basically trying to force me to admit that maybe at one point in my life I questioned my faith. And that's a dick move.
Yeah, and there's really not a whole lot more that needs to be said, but it's just, yeah, don't be a dick. Don't force the debate. I take the stance of, if people want to learn more about my beliefs, if they want to learn more about my faith, I will tell them. I will speak with them. But only if they're truly interested in learning.
Or in the course of friends like us having an open discussion of, it's like, well, what are your doubts? Like,
yeah.
I think I wanted to say it's maybe one time I've asked, is like, well, where are your flaws with science? And he gave me a few, and I was kind of like, But I accepted that as it was an open conversation. It wasn't anything kind of an attack. It wasn't an attempt at conversion. It was just an open conversation. You can do that.
Yes, which leads us actually into our next point. 7. Most times you'll agree to disagree whenever you debate. So, like he was saying, he kind of discussed some of the stuff, and it was an agree to disagree thing. And that's fine. That's something that it's the thing that I've learned is that I mentioned that I was deist for a while. It took a very, very, very close brush with death for me to convert back. It took, and I mean like coming this close to dying, with a doctor telling me you should not have survived this. It took that much for me to convert back. But when before that happened, my mind was set. And with that being said, most of the time you're just going to agree to disagree.
Yeah, like I said, I pretty much kind of jumped the gun on this one in the previous point, but it was a nice segue, I think. I think I did well without meaning to. But a lot of the times, as long as you can have this conversation civilly, you will probably wind up coming down to agreeing to disagree. Although I will say that there have been a couple of times where I've never full-on admitted to someone else on the religious side of the debate. They're saying, well, okay, would you admit that this is a possibility? And I go, you know what? In a universe of infinite possibilities that is more vast than our human minds can possibly conceive, then yes, maybe somewhere at some point in time as we conceive it, that may have happened. I'll give you that. But I'm still going with my thing.
Yeah, and on a point that we'll go into this more depth, I don't know.
Ramsey strikes again.
Slight digression. I lost my train of thought. Damn it! Okay, train of thought decided to come back to the station. There have also been times where people ask me religious questions that I don't know the answer to. And again, I will get into this in the next point, but there are things that I still don't know. And I don't have the answers for. But at the end of the day, it's kind of just going with my gut feeling. And I think you're on the same boat where you're just going with what you feel is right and just going with your gut feeling. It's not an issue of, oh, your side is wrong. And it's more of a, I see where you're coming from. I get why, but me personally, I'm just taking a different approach.
I see where you're coming from, but I still feel like I'm right. I think a lot of these points that we've made and are going to make come down to just have a little bit of, I'm going to drop my F-bomb, fucking respect.
It's okay, I've dropped like 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really...
Anyway, next point.
6. You'll rarely have a full, complete understanding of either point of view.
So riddle me this. With random chance, if everything happened randomly, like pure coincidence, how did we become so complex as organisms?
Well, it wasn't entirely random. I mean, sure, I guess it would be like a random mutation which survives that provides the next trait or set of genes or something that are beneficial to a organism. I don't know, man. I didn't really do so hot in biology when I was in school.
Well, that sounds like you don't have an answer for that.
Well, I mean, I'm a cook. I work in a kitchen. I make tasty things for people to eat. I'm not necessarily going to know every single piece of nuance. If you really want an answer, ask Neil deGrasse Tyson. He did a whole video series on it. It was excellent, dude. I think you can find it on Netflix. I mean, can you explain to me how Jesus is his own father?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something called a miracle. That's not going to work with you, isn't it?
No, sir, it is not.
I don't know, go ask the Pope. So like I said in the last point, there are still a lot of questions about the Bible that I do not have the answers to. There are a lot of questions about Christianity I do not have the answer to. I wasn't playing dumb when he was asking me those questions not too long ago. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But at the same time,
I can't explain string theory, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, all the little tiny things that go on between atoms that make them work, that combine to make proteins, which supposedly made these are things I cannot explain. I can watch Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson as many times as I like, and I've already watched through the whole thing like 10 times, and I still find it hard to wrap my mind around the really complex concepts, and I will never, even though as I kind of get the feeling that what they have just explained to me is right, even though I can't really wrap my mind around it 100%, when somebody asks me to explain what I feel is right, I'm not going to be able to give as in-depth of an explanation as someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson or someone of that ilk or Stephen Hawking or something like that.
and it's one of those things that unless you are willing to dedicate your life, just everything about your existence, everything about your passion, you have to have that passion, that drive, that motivation to dedicate every little thing that you do to study theology or science, whatever, unless you are willing to put all that stuff aside and dedicate your life, you're really not going to have a full understanding of not just the opposing side of you, but your own views on yourself.
I mean, that's 2 lifetimes.
Yeah.
To understand both, you'd have to dedicate an entire lifetime to both theology and theoretical physics and science and stuff like that.
But here's the thing. It's okay to not know all the answers. To act like you have all the answers is foolish. It's okay to say, got me. I don't know.
I don't know is an acceptable answer sometimes. As long as you admit that you don't know something, well, then what's your judgment or what's your decision or judgment based on? Well, a little bit of gut feeling.
Yeah, going back to the previous point. But people seem to be under the impression, in my opinion, that, oh, you don't have every single solitary answer. Well, do you?
I really don't think there's anyone in the state of human consciousness that can obtain all the answers. Because there's so much information that there's no room for it, man.
Because with religion and science, it's not something that can be learned just like that. It's a lifelong thing. It's going to be an ongoing thing. I'm sure there will be new scientific breakthroughs. I'm sure there are going to be people who cite religious experiences, divine intervention. I know on my side of the family, people have cited divine intervention where things should not happen. I realize to an extent, I cited that doctor told me I should not have survived.
My mother is something. Someone. Edit that. My mother is. He's not going to edit that. He's not going to edit that.
No.
All right. My mother is someone whom I would consider to be the epitome of Christian goodness. Because, like I said, I was raised in the religion for 14 years before I pretty much rejected it. And all the things that are good about Christianity is helping others when you have no means to help yourself, turning the other cheek, doing unto others as you have them do unto you. All this stuff that, when it comes to societal interaction, she is the epitome of everything good. Even though I don't believe as she believes, I will fight to the death anyone who tries to harm my mother. Because I believe that she is a genuinely good person, and in my mind, she's a genuinely good person because she believes so strongly in everything that is what I would consider the good things that Christianity teaches.
Yeah, and that gets into having that passion, having that drive. But most people who go on I don't want to use the term militant Christians or militant atheists. I really don't want to use that term. But people who do go that extra mile, I guess, who try and disprove all this stuff, they don't have the complete understanding, and not being able to admit I don't know all the answers is a huge disservice to your cause.
Yep. If you want other people to be intrigued and to maybe walk along the path that you're walking, or maybe a parallel or slightly divergent path of the path that you're walking, you have to encourage them that there's more to know, or there's more to explain. Because really, once again, both science and religion are fundamental ways of explaining the origin of creation and life. They're very contrasting explanations, but that's what they are at their core, is an explanation of this is where life, we came from.
Yeah, I think that's enough said.